here. I just want to introduce myself. My name's Katie Dieter. I'm the event marketing manager here at 8Fig. I'll be, sort of the host and keeping things moving along for this webinar today. Really excited to have, a really great group of panelists. We're going to talk Q4 selling hacks with some of, the experts in the field. So I want to first introduce Emma Borchoff. I probably am saying it wrong, but she's the head of marketing here at 8Fig. So thank you so much, Emma, for joining us. And then we have Ryan and David. They're with DAVAN Strategic. They are former 7-figure sellers, also 8Fig customers. We just love partnering with them and doing these types of things with them. They're definitely some good pals of ours. So I want to also welcome you guys both to the webinar.
Yeah, thanks for having it. And just to clarify, former 7-figure sellers, it's because we exited the business. It's not that sales died off. And
I should have probably mentioned that. They're still amazing. They exited. They're too cool. I'm just kidding. Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and dive in here in a second. Just a few housekeeping things. If anybody has any questions, please pop those in the Q&A box. We'll do our best to answer them as we go, and then we'll save some time towards the end to answer everybody's questions. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Ryan and David to get us started.
Great. Do we want to tell any background or just jump in? I think
you can tell. Yeah, you guys can. I did a terrible job introducing.
No, it was totally good.
It was good. We just love telling the story sometimes. Maybe like a quick sentence or two.
Yeah, just a quick sentence because we asked people about their experience. So our experience, we were selling for about 3 years. When we got together, we're friends in Munich, but we're both Canadian. And I started selling business with my wife actually, and then during COVID, I needed help. And luckily, Ryan, he's a scientist, so he was also in home office. Me being an airline pilot, I was grounded. So I said, hey, look, we're both basically at home. Let's go full-time e-commerce and figure this out together. And that's where it kind of started. Our first year, we did 73,000 in revenue. And then we, thought, okay, we kind of got a hand of this. I think we know what we're doing now. Let's scale it. Reach out to 8Fig, got some funding going pretty early on. And our second year, we actually closed at 3.1 million revenue with a 29% profit margin. So really nice profit margins we had there. And then our third year selling, we were en route to do 5 million, but within that year, we sold and exited the business. So that was last year. So very, very fortunate to have a nice exit. And since then, we've been enjoying working with 8Fig. We've been enjoying consulting and helping other people try to help them achieve a similar goal because it was life-changing for both of us, to be honest.
And I think we're really excited to talk here today about Q4 because we know what it's like to go through Q4 and selling peaks. That was our main product, was a seasonal product, a gift. And so, if we look, we just put up some of our favorite milestones here that we love to reminisce about. So, when we look back at our two biggest peaks, looking back at holiday season 2021, we did over $1 million in 30 days during that holiday season. And Mother's Day of 2022, in 7 days, we did 1.2 million revenue. So,
which was probably the craziest week of our lives. We probably didn't sleep much during that time. Our biggest day, as you can see, is $250,000 in 1 day. I mean, that's massive sales volumes. To give you a scope of it, our products were selling at around $40 US dollars each, right? So that's a lot of units that we're moving. It took a lot of planning to get to that level, and a lot of attention to detail. And it's some of those details I think that we just want to kind of highlight. And then what we also want to do is really focus on a couple of the new things that we see for this Q4 coming up, a couple of things that you guys can leverage to really, maximize on your sales. And kind of like what Emma was saying before, we want it to be a bit more conversational, fun. Ryan and I, we're buddies. And the cool thing is, because we've always worked together, we're going to banter a bit. We're going to enjoy this. And if you guys have questions during the presentation, just interrupt it right in the Q&A, and then the girls will do a good job to let us know, and we can answer those right away. Okay, so let's get started right away with some Q4 stuff.
The do's and don'ts of peak selling season. So we thought a lot about what our main do's and don'ts are, and we boiled it down to just a few that we want to share with you today. So we're going to start out with the positive things, the do's, things to do with this Q4. One thing that Dave and I like to do, especially in Q4, generally once a quarter, but especially for heading into Q4, is to do fresh keyword research. Whatever tool you use, whether it's Helium 10, Zonguru, anything like this, look at what keywords performed well last Q4. to get a good baseline of what keywords you should be looking out for this year. Also look at what keywords are emerging this year, because sometimes Amazon changes their autocomplete, for example, or just new keywords appear out of the ether somehow, and you're like, oh, that's a keyword I now need to track and try to rank on. So definitely do new keyword research.
And then, sorry, just the main thing by like it does well, what we're talking about is search volume, right? So we're not going to be able to determine, are we going to convert well on those yet? But we're going to do the research of where's the search volume going this year, and then we make a strategy from that.
And relevancy too. Obviously Christmas gifts is going to jump up in search volume, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should target it. You have to still be relevant with your keyword targets. So one thing Dave and I always did is we reserved a bullet point on our listing for a holiday bullet, and we would rotate this based on the holiday season. So going into Christmas, we would rewrite this bullet point to try to index for the Christmas words. So we would include all those keywords that you find from your research, try to jam them into one bullet point so you at least get indexed for these keywords. That'll help you rank and potentially run PPC on these keywords and help your chance of showing up.
And the reason why I only did it on one bullet point is we didn't want to risk de-indexing or reshuffling anything on the other bullet points for, throughout the rest of the year. And then we would do that for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, stuff like that.
Yeah. One other thing we love to do is to cross-sell our other products. So what you see here on this slide is an example of a cross-selling photo or a template that we use. Now, obviously, this person should be cross-selling because they sell a lot of Christmas products. But even if you don't sell Christmas products, this is a great thing to do. You're going to get a lot of customer traffic to your page. Showcase all the other products you have. And in addition, point them towards the visit our store link. If you're brand registered and you have a store in Amazon, above the title on your listings, there's that link, visit the brand store. You want people to click on this. You want to drive traffic there because there's no sponsored ads there. It's just you and your store and your customer one-on-one. So try to drive traffic there so they can discover your other products and get some cross-sale and some multiple orders going.
And the nice thing is, if you only have one hero product, let's say, that ended up ranking really well during Q4, it's generating a lot of traffic, and you already have that traffic. And now you can bring them to your store, and your other products will benefit from it. Those will count as organic sales, and their ranking should increase as well.
The next one is a discussion point for us too. And it would always be like, when should we send an inventory for Q4? And we always settled on about mid-November. It was kind of this sweet spot of not sending in too early or too late, something we're going to hit on in a couple of slides. We'll come back to this point, but our favorite time to send an inventory specifically to FBA was by mid-November Q4, to make sure that it's arrived and starting to check into the fulfillment centers by mid-November.
Yeah, so that's important. It has to arrive. So if you're sending your stuff straight from China, then you got to send it earlier, right? But so it should arrive by mid-November so that it has, it's fully dispersed across all the fulfillment centers by absolute latest, let's say December 1st.
Yeah. So obviously Q4 is all about the holiday season. That includes a couple of big shopping days, as you know, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. You don't want to forget to run deals on these days, if only just to keep pace with your competitors. Your competitors are going to run deals on these days. And if you don't, you risk slipping in the BSR, because the BSR is always relative to your niche, your product category, your competitors. So you want to kind of keep pace with them by running these deals on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now, just keep in mind that you have to set a promotional price, and it has to be lower than the price in the last 30 days. So just keep this in mind. When we start to get 30 days away from Black Friday, pricing should be at the forefront of your mind so that you set a price that you can then discount come Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So
what some people do is they actually raise their price slightly before, and then they'll run a deal, right? So it looks like you're running a Black Friday deal and it's actually back to your normal price. So, but that's just a business decision you guys can make. So the last thing we want to do is not just Christmasify. So this is kind of just a word we kind of made up, but we like it. Your listing, right? So we spoke about the bullet points and maybe one image, but there's also your storefront, Amazon posts. Those are all important, right? So you want to give it the holiday feel. And what's important is the image that we showed here, we just made it up. It shows Christmas products, but this could apply to any type of product. So let's just take a look at what happens if we get to a product like, let's say, a gamer keyboard. Right? Look at this. I mean, it's not a really Christmas product, but all of a sudden I'm in the Christmas mood. If I end up landing on this, I'm like, you know what? This could make a really cool gift for my cousin.
Yeah.
And I might put it in the, add it to cart. So and one last thing to mention, don't forget Q4, Christmas isn't the only holiday celebrated. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Christmasify. Take a look at your product, do some research, look at the holidays. Might be a Hanukkah themed, right? What we like to do is we don't like to get political about it. We just trust the search volume, right? So use the tools, trust the data, and wherever the highest search volume is, those are the keywords we're targeting, right? And we do the whole 80-20 rule. So 80% of our effort is going to be on that 20%, where's the peak of the search volume.
Yeah. And when we say Christmasify your listing, you don't have to hire a photographer in a studio and take a beautiful shot. It could just be as simple as taking the text in one of your images and making it green and red. Something very simple as that, that tells customers who land on your page, hey, this is something I could buy for Christmas.
Yeah. All right. So let's get going to a couple other points here.
I have a quick question for you guys. If you just want to give a shout out to some of the like keyword research tools maybe that you guys like to use that you'd recommend.
Definitely. So Ryan and I, we were huge fans from the beginning of Helium 10, and we basically stuck with them. The reason why we liked them, especially at the very beginning, so we started selling, like I said, about 3-4 years ago, and comparing them, they were very raw in their data. So it wasn't the prettiest, to be honest, but they allowed you to export all of it in CSV files. And Ryan and I love Excel and we love using our own data. So that's why we stuck with Helium 10. And I think all of them are good as long as you really get used to one and it becomes your tool and you trust those numbers. And then you're able to make business decisions based on those numbers.
I think our other favorite tool as well was brand analytics, which is this part of Amazon Seller Central, where they allow you a peek into the keywords that people are searching on Amazon, how popular they are. Now they're starting to give search volumes and how well your products compare or convert on these keywords in the search query performance reports. So there's a whole section just on Seller Central that even if you don't have any of these fancy tools, that's a great tool. And it's one of my favorites to use when I'm having to do keyword research for running, new, what should I target this week on PPC, that kind of question. So
plus you can spy on your competitors that way, right? You can see which keywords are they the top 3 clicked products for.
Again, you need to be brand registered to have access to that, but we would always recommend that,
anyway,
generally, if you're a private seller on Amazon, being brand registered has a lot of benefits.
Okay, so let's keep going. So one last thing that we really want to emphasize, because this actually cost us about $50,000. Okay, it's a lot of money, and it was totally frustrating. And it wasn't our fault. This was Amazon's fault. So what kind of happens is that, you send in a lot of inventory to Amazon. Like when you're doing 1 million in 30 days, that's a lot of units that you're moving, especially when your average throughout the year is maybe 70,000 to 100,000 a month, right? So that's a big, big growth just during the Christmas month. And you send in all of your inventory to Amazon well ahead of time. So it could be dispersed. As you can see here, it's a nice inventory map. And Amazon actually says, you know what? We don't think you guys can sell that many. So then what happens is they put your inventory into something called a supplemental fulfillment center. So it's not a general fulfillment center, but we didn't even know that existed. And very few people talk about it. Now, the general fulfillment centers are the ones where they'll actually ship it to the customer when they order it. As a seller, you don't see the difference. You don't know where it's at, right? And we only noticed this. So we had about 5,000 units, let's say, still available of a product, and all of a sudden it's a shipping time like 2 weeks, and we're like, this can't be, they're available, what's going on, where is it? And we really dove deep and we downloaded all the different reports, inventory reports, where are they in which fulfillment center, and then through contacting Seller Central back and forth. I don't want to go through the whole case now. We actually have a YouTube video, so if you guys want, just find it, DAVAN Strategic on YouTube, watch this video, and we'll explain how you can find out. But essentially what happened was a supplemental fulfillment center is where they store their overage, where they think, you know what, I don't think they're going to sell it. We'll just sideline this. And once your general fulfillment centers are emptied, they'll transfer it. It'll take 3-4 days into the general ones, and then they'll make it available for the customer. And it all happens in the back end. The sellers don't even know this happens. But if you notice that, hey, there's this one warehouse, and in our YouTube video, we'll explain how, then you might want to open a ticket beforehand and be like, listen, my sales are good. I just hit the ramp. Sales are picking up. Can you please transfer them early to a general fulfillment center? Okay, so watch the YouTube video. It's super important. Like I said, it cost us $50,000 because we didn't even know that thing existed. And moving on to some don'ts.
Don't do any of these. No. So the first don't is coming back to a point that we talked about earlier, which is when you should send in inventory. And we say here, don't send it in too early and don't send it in too late. The reason why you don't want to send in your inventory too early, you might get excited. Oh, it's Q4, it's September. I gotta send in my inventory now. But don't forget, starting October 1st, inventory fees nearly triple for most products on Amazon, sometimes even more. So just be wary that if you send in a ton of inventory now and it's sitting there at these high storage fees, it could eat into a lot of your profit just for no reason. So that's why we say don't send in too early.
And then the reason why we specify it is because we're talking about the Q4 hacks, right? And Q4 officially starts October 1st. But in reality, all we really care about is like mid-November to like mid-December. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Yeah, it's Q4 and sales are up, but it's only up if you look at that last 30 days.
Yeah. And of course, this kind of goes without saying, don't send it in too late. You want to make sure it gets not only received by Amazon in time, but spread amongst their entire fulfillment center network across the country. So you want to give it time to spread out so that everyone across the country has access to buy it well in time for Christmas. The next thing is to don't push Christmas PPC too soon. This is a common thing that we see. And we've made this mistake too. That's how we learned about it, because you start thinking, November, people must be thinking about Christmas. And they are, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily buying for Christmas. So we were running expensive campaigns targeting Christmas keywords. People were clicking, but they weren't buying because it's simply a window shopping period. And you might think, yeah, they're clicking now, they might add it to their cart and come back later. But just because there's that attribution window in paid PPC, you can't see anything outside of 7 or 14 days, depending on the campaign. So it's hard to make decisions based on that data. So we just simplify it and say, we wait until at least mid-November to start pushing Christmas related PPC and not earlier than that.
And we kind of tested, right? Like follow your data. You don't want to have too low of a conversion because then you might actually hurt your organic ranking for those. And the idea is you want to rank for also the gifting keywords, let's say, in your niche, right for the biggest sales days, right? Because then you can literally, you'll just sell so many units. Okay, just to keep it going a bit quicker through here now, we don't want to blindly run ads also just targeting Christmas gifts. Really put some thought into this, right? Get a bit more specific. We're going to showcase a bit later how we use artificial intelligence as well to try to be able to gift any type of product, right? So we literally just found a random product on Amazon and you can turn that into a gift if you do proper keyword research. So we'll touch that on a bit later. But don't just hit Christmas gifts broad on PPC and say, yeah, it's going to be a good Q4. Probably won't work. A couple other things while you're in this fun, exciting, Q4 is the Super Bowl, right? Or like the Champions League. It's where you're going to make most of your money for most sellers. This is where it's all worth it. Don't forget that there is a Q1 after, right? The game never ends. So a lot of people are so head down, tunnel vision focused, and then kind of Q1 surprises them. The tricky thing about Q1 is that, there's Chinese New Year's in there as well. So if you want to place an order to make sure you want to restock on Christmas for after Christmas, you honestly should be thinking about that, October, November, by the time you place the order. You have to have the units ship before the Chinese New Year's, right? So they don't take a Christmas break, but they'll take it. Chinese New Year's next year, as a reminder, is February 10th, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, couple PPC tips here. We'll try to keep it on a quick overview because PPC, as you guys all know, it's a beast, right? And we don't want to go too much in detail. But a couple of highlights.
Yes, these are some of our favorite PPC tips and strategies heading into Q4. So the first point, are you testing all campaign types? This isn't necessarily specific to Q4, but you should be testing all of the campaign types ahead of Q4 so that come Q4, you're running your best ads that are driving sales profitably. So you want to kind of do all this testing before so that you have all your campaigns ready to go. And these, of course, are sponsored products where you can do different types of targeting. Everyone's probably familiar with that. But sponsored brands are great. You can get these banner ads and especially the video ads. There's a new video placement that's been out not too long yet. And you're able to actually advertise 3 products on the video instead of just one. And you can drive traffic to your store instead of the landing page. And you get a top of search placement. So that's what we're showing here. It's this new video ad placement. It's a really lucrative placement to have a video at the top of search, advertising 3 products. So just keep that new type in mind and give it a test. The final type, of course, is sponsored display. I love they're always coming out with new types of targeting, like contextual targeting, audience targeting. You can target people who have viewed your product, purchased your product, similar products to yours. So I love these kind of campaigns. You can play around with different bid optimization strategies, settings. So just play around and see what works. The next thing is to make some holiday creatives. Just like we talked about inserting holiday images into your listing, use holiday images in your sponsored brands and sponsored display ads when they allow for it as well, just to hit that holiday note.
You'll be surprised at how much it increases conversion because you're just putting that idea in their mind. Yes, this is a tested gift. People have received this before. They're going to like it. We sell this all the time during the holidays. So,
and it gives, this is just a personal anecdote, but it gives also a feeling that the brand is on top of their stuff. Like, oh, this is a new ad that someone just launched. There's people in this brand actively promoting it. It's a running machine. I trust it a little bit more.
Don't forget to put an expiration date on it or an end date, right? So
True.
you want to make sure the ad actually stops running. You don't want a Christmas themed ad in January. It just kind of looks like the brand wasn't on top of it.
Luckily, if Amazon detects the word Christmas or a holiday in your headline copy there, it will force you to put an end date, and you have to say, yeah, maybe a good end date would be December 23rd.
Something like that. Yeah. So, but if you're targeting gifts for mom and you have like a Christmas image, then make sure you just switch out the Christmas image to a generic one again. It's super, super important. So this is why Ryan and I didn't sleep during that crazy week where we hit, 1.2 million in 7 days. The reason is we stayed on top of our PPC like hawks, right? So we literally took shifts even at nighttime because we're living in Germany, selling in the US. We would literally stay up at night taking shifts and saying, okay, you keep an eye on which PPC campaigns are running out, which ones aren't, which ones are doing well today, which ones aren't. It changed. Where's our organic ranking? On which keywords? Where can we save some money? The name of the game isn't just revenue, it's profit, right? And the peaks are where you want to maximize your profit. So stay on top of your campaigns. Make sure that the good ones never, ever, ever run out of budget. If you are trying to budget control, you have to look at your organic ranking, right? There's no point being like PPC first spot and organic rank next to it. Just keep in mind that, with mobile search results, and on desktop, Amazon is throwing more and more sponsor placements in front of you. So even if you're organically ranked first, you might be the 6th or 7th product. The closer you get to the holiday, what kicks in is last minute shoppers, and they're desperate. They're going to buy the first or second thing. They don't have time to shop around, right? So especially if you're targeting men buying for their wives or something, they're going to click the first two. So that's why we say just top of search, get that customer. It doesn't matter really what it costs as long as it's a profitable click, because the conversion will be up to like 50-60%. It gets that insane close to the holiday peak.
Sorry, just and add one more thing is it kind of goes against the notion, right, of traditional PPC optimization, where you want to wait for the attribution window to be closed. You want to wait, and only look a week back and take it slow. During these peaks, you have to be in your PPC campaigns daily, because the conversion rate can jump quickly and it can die off as you get into, the last days of Christmas. So you really need to be in there and fine-tuning things on the fly.
And one thing that'll kill the conversion is on your listing. Amazon will put shipping time of when they think the product will make it to you. And we have them here listed on the right. It'll say in green, really big in green, this product will arrive before Christmas if you order today. It then might say may arrive after Christmas. That's when it starts trickling off. If it says arrives after Christmas, you're burning your PPC money. You're literally just giving it to Jeff Bezos, right? So monitor your listing, go on it every day, see what is the shipping times. That's where we noticed, for example, that one of our products way earlier than all the other ones said arrives after Christmas. And that was because those units were at the supplemental fulfillment center. Okay. So get the gloves on. Q4 is to fight. Okay. You got to stay on top of it.
And once all of our listings finally said arrives after Christmas, I think that's when we poured an eggnog and called it a successful Q4.
Yeah. And then we just still enjoyed a lot of sales, right? Organic ranking was up. We put our feet up. We said, okay, now we can celebrate the holidays with our own family. Because the nice thing is it'll say arrives after Christmas relatively early. Okay, then the PPC strategy, like I said, aligning with organic ranking and your available inventory. If you're not sure, like if you're going to run out of stock, hey, don't even run PPC. Enjoy organic sales. No one forces you, and this is something that most people don't talk about. You don't actually have to run any PPC to sell on Amazon. No one forces you. Zero, right? And The reason why people share PPC strategies because it's so hard, right? And it does help you generate more sales to maybe help ranking, but you don't have to. If you're running low on stock, maximize your profit, don't run PPC. And that ties into focus on profit. That's the name of the game, okay? Forget the screenshots. Even us, we had sexy screenshots of the revenue, right? But remember, we were running a 29% profit margin, okay? And that was because we were really, really focused on profit. Okay, so moving on. Oh, just one sec here. We got.
Sorry, one moment. There we go.
Running promotions.
We did talk about promotions earlier when it comes to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, but there's a couple new kind of promotions out there available to people on Amazon that we can take a look at. First things first, though. Do you have brand followers and do you know how to get them? So followers is not something new. You've been able to get followers to your brand for a while now, but you have to draw attention to it because if you go to your storefront, you probably notice this little follow button here. So you're driving people to your storefront maybe through ads, but they're not following you. So draw attention to this little follow button because it's important that you get these followers. So we always like to put, and this is a very basic one, you can make it much prettier than this. I threw this together in 2 seconds, but some indication that like, click here, follow us, get exclusive deals, offers, like follow us. It's going to pay off. And then you'll get probably a little boost in followers, and that will open up the door for you to run a couple of these promotions that we're going to be talking about. So the first one is a type of promotion that's been around for a while now. It's these customer engagement campaigns. These are templated email campaigns that Amazon sends out on your behalf, but you're able to select a few products to put in these campaigns to promote. So you can find this if you're brand registered under the brand section, customer engagement there. Now there's no fee to run these. So Amazon isn't charging a fee and you're not forced to run a promotion. You're just simply pushing a product to making people aware of your new products or existing products that you want to kind of give a boost. So like I said, they get pushed an email. There are some pretty cool new audiences too that you can target. So you've always been able to target your brand followers, but recently there are some new types of audiences that are rolling out that you can target, such as recent customers, repeat customers, and high spend customers. So depending on your product, and I think you kind of have to think of your product, are they one-off purchases, or is it a product that really people are going to come back and buy again and again? In that case, repeat customers and high spend customers are people that you would really want to target. Actually, all of these people. So really consider which ones you want to target to. You can run one campaign a week and target, advertise several products. Just make sure I put at the bottom here, to be eligible for some of these audiences, you do have to have sent at least 10 of these campaigns, reaching certain thresholds in the past. So if some of these audiences aren't available to you yet, just take a look at the requirements and make sure that you're meeting them. They're still well more than 10 weeks before Christmas. So if you start now, you should be able to cross these thresholds off the list. The second type of promotion is actually relatively new, and you might have seen some chitter chatter about this on the Amazon forums, and it's called brand tailored promotions. These are not email promotions. Instead, these appear as little badges on the search results and on your detail pages that customers will see if you're targeting them. So again, there's no fee to run these, but you do have to offer a discount on the products, and this discount has to be between 10 and 50%. But hey, if you're pushing a product to a base and you want to convert, why not give them a little bit of an incentive? So unfortunately, right now, this discount will apply to all your products. So all you can do is say, advertise to these audiences and give them 10% off my entire catalog, whatever they buy. However, ASIN specific deals are coming soon, Amazon says, but they don't say a specific date. So how these promotions appear in the search results, I'm showing below. So in the search results page, it appears as this 10% off promotion available. Now, it's not great. It's kind of grayed out. There's no color. So someone who's being targeted by this may or may not see it. That could be why not only us, but people that we coach and talk to haven't seen great interaction with these promotions. But because they're free, you're not really losing anything. So it's worth it to run anyway. If they click through to the detail page, they do see a green badge similar to a coupon, but it's specifically just for them because they're being targeted, and then they can redeem that promo there. Now, there's a lot more audiences that you can target using these brand tailored promotions. Again, your brand followers, That's why it's important to get as many of them as possible. But a lot of new audiences, and some of these aren't even available yet. They're going to be available in the coming weeks or months. So stay tuned and just keep an eye on them. But you have at-risk customers who purchased from you once but haven't purchased recently, so you're at risk of losing them. Again, high-spend customers, potential new customers is a really attractive one. These are people who have looked at your brand, looked at your page. Maybe they've added your products to cart, maybe they haven't, and you can target them and maybe convert. One of the ones that is available right now that we like using is the brand cart abandoners. So just think about it. Someone's added your product to their cart, but they haven't purchased it. It's just sitting in the cart. Now imagine you target them with this promotion. The next time they look at your product, they see 10% off and they're like, oh, right, I have that in my cart. I should buy now because I'm getting a good deal on it. So these are really exciting audiences. And I just hope that the visibility of these promotions becomes a little bit greater in time, but we're just not sure about that.
Now, one side note, right? So we're all sellers, but guys, we're also buyers, right? So the cool thing is we all shop on Amazon, right? And if we know the ins and outs of how it works, add stuff to your cart, don't buy it for a couple of days, wait to see if you get retargeted and get a discount, right? Because then you can make some money when you go shopping. That's what I tell my wife. All right, cool. So let's move on to the next point here. I think Emma's going to take over to give us a bit of a talking break here on how to maintain healthy cash flow during the peak selling season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I love all these tips, and yeah, I feel like I'm probably in so many people's like Amazon like potential buyer category, all the things that I'm just gonna keep adding things to the cart and seeing what comes my way. Fantastic. So really kind of just to double down on a lot of what like Dave and Ryan have already said is, profitability is really important. Looking at your margins, like obviously everything that you're spending, especially in PPC, will eat into those margins. But another thing to think about as well is, your revenue numbers can be great. You can have good profitability, but that doesn't necessarily mean your cash flow is in a good place, especially because there's you do have to factor in things like the delays in which you'll actually get payouts from Amazon or whatever channels you are on. And I have a little stat of just like 82% of small businesses fail due to mismanagement of cash flow. So cash flow is really, just looking at the basic level, like looking at what is coming in and what is going out, like at least on a monthly basis. And I think you can get a lot more granular when you're looking at Q4, especially knowing that you're going to have to funnel in a lot more in terms of like more inventory that you're ordering in advance. Profitability margins still really matter. It is so important to kind of make sure that you're looking at all the fees. And like another thing is, like Amazon fees go up, and then shipping costs might even be more expensive in Q4 as well. So making sure that you're kind of factoring those seasonal changes and so that you can adjust like what you're looking at in terms of the cash going out, as well as when you'll need to be ordering that next batch of inventory, making sure that you actually have enough cash on hand to do that. And I think like, Dave and Ryan talked a lot about forgetting Q1, like we're all focused on Q4, but the Chinese New Year, the beginning of next year, a lot of people, like manufacturers, will be on vacation. And so you already kind of have to be anticipating what's coming up. So don't expect to have that Q4 money in your pocket in order to order for Q1, because there are still a lot of sales that will happen in Q1. Like people are returning things and buying other things. And, gift cards, I think is another thing. A lot of people will have gift cards or just like extra cash. And like, I don't know, January is a great time to just sit at home and buy stuff. So, don't forget that. Another thing is, to also factor in returns when you're thinking about your margins, as well as the cash that you will have. Is that, while you will have an increase in sales in Q4, you'll also have an increase in returns. And so to kind of understand maybe what is typical for yourself, and then just try to adjust that according to the season. All right, next slide. Cool. Another way, so obviously, you're trying to increase the cash coming in, but another way to look at it is obviously like decrease the cash going out. And so I think kind of what I mentioned is, navigating just the shifts in higher costs of most things in Q4, especially when it comes to like Amazon FBAs, like the inventory fees are going to be higher. So make sure that, like David and Ryan said, Q4 technically starts October 1. Do you need your products in FBA then? Probably not. And so to really also make sure that if you do have a 3PL, which hopefully you do, that can be really, really helpful as a way to reduce your overall inventory costs and kind of have things shipped from the manufacturer to your 3PL so that it will be, instead of a month, 2 months for it to get to FBA, it'll just be, a week or even less to get to FBA. So that way you're saving a good amount on those inventory costs, while not necessarily putting yourself in a bad place in terms of being able to get those products where you need them to go. Another thing kind of mentioned, just like doubling down on all these points, but PBC, just don't start it too early. Because window shop, like I'm window shopping. Well, I'm not really window shopping for looking at stuff I like to buy. But so making sure that you're not doing that too early and that you're kind of being lean where you can, and making sure that you're also, I see a lot, with sellers that are like, I think naturally as a marketer too, is like, you might have some campaigns that you are really invested in terms of just like, I guess outside of Amazon as well, but maybe the creative was something you're really proud of, or, just a lot of experimenting. But I think as you get closer to Q4 is like making those decisions to turn things off that aren't working, and to try to be as lean as you can and make sure that you're just focusing on the campaigns that are converting. And another piece for cash flow is, even if it's just at a very basic level, to literally sit and map your cash coming in and out based off of like all the batches of inventory that you're getting. When are the deposits due? When will you actually have the cash, or when will you have the inventory in FBA? When will you actually get the payout from FBA? And that sort of thing can be really great, at least at a very basic level. Next slide. Which brings me to a mapping. So 8Fig, yeah. So I'm not sure if we mentioned it before, but if you didn't know, we are e-commerce funding platform. And so we actually have a tool for sellers to do just that in terms of mapping out pretty much your cash flow in terms of each batch of inventory. What are the costs associated with each of those? When are you going to get the stock on hand? And just kind of like the visualization can really help you understand like where your money is and where it might be tied up. And that leads me to the next section, which is avoiding stockouts, which is detrimental on all platforms, especially Amazon, where, obviously if you're out of stock, then you plummet in terms of your ranking, which no doubt you invested a lot of energy into. So just a few, I'll go through them real quick, just kind of like rule of thumb, like benchmarks that we like to recommend. And that a few I stole from David and Ryan. Target 45 to 60 days of stock in FBA, and then have 60 days of stock in your 3PL. And then if that's kind of like the normal benchmark, so you might need to raise those numbers a bit according to what you might be expecting for Q4. And then another thing is that even though there are those inventory fees, it is still better to be overstocked than understocked. Really looking at, because so like Q4, like it has been said, like there's Christmas, there's Hanukkah, there's Kwanzaa, and then I think there's probably another holiday in there. Or maybe it's like that Seinfeld one that was made up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is that? I remember.
Well, the good thing is, even if we don't get the Christmas holidays, right, or the other holidays in Q4, like Q1 actually has a couple holidays as well, right? So you got Valentine's Day, even Mother's Day coming up. So you can turn those into gifts as well, maybe, or really, increase sales during those times.
And it's actually a really good point you made here, Emma, that we didn't bring up. And that's about better to be overstocked than understocked, because if you have a lot of competitors who aren't so experienced with Amazon, maybe they're new, they don't have the inventory to, sell all the way through Q4. Maybe they run out of stock early December, mid-December, suddenly a lot of your competitors have run out of stock. You're there with this beautiful offer, not many competitors. You can just get a lot of traffic because your competitors go out of stock.
So the day that we did 250,000 in one day, most of our competitors were gone at that point, right? But we say, we're going all in here. We're going to hit it. And because of that, those sales at that point now become organic. You don't even have to pay to be there. Everyone else is gone, right? So it's like you're standing alone on the top of the mountain. It's really nice.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Yeah, 100% is, yeah, it's not just Q4, it's Q1, and then a lot of people will, also go out of stock. So there's plenty of reason to just have that all amped up.
That's another thing, Emma. Sorry to interrupt, but this is actually really important. So if you do go out of stock, let's say during the Christmas peak, by the time you send in stock, Amazon is so busy with return handling, with everything. They're not checking in your stuff as quick as normal. So the first, and their staff also go on holiday, right? So they're reduced staff, let's say. So the first week of January, if you're trying to check in new stock, forget it. Everyone is trying to replenish after Q4. So it's almost like when we did our calculations, we said, we're going to calculate that our stock will last until end of January. So that by the time we are ready to send in stock, it's back to the normal check-in times of, let's say, a week or two. Because otherwise you send it in for January and you're hoping it checks in, and it might take 4 weeks for them to check it in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. To definitely factor in those additional wait times. Cool. I think I'll just go to the next one. So talking about, we could just flip the slide. Thank you. Which leads me just to the next point in terms of cash flow is like, obviously you can do as much as you can to be as lean as possible and amp up the sales, but sometimes you really just need that extra funding. And there are multiple options. It really just depends like what your needs are and what you're looking for. Bank loans can be a great, standard, somewhat like affordable option, and just like you're not necessarily known for being terribly fast. And if you do have like e-commerce at its core is like a very risky business, so you might not have such an easy time securing that. Investors probably wouldn't make the most sense in terms of just getting your Q4 funding, because obviously that's when you're looking for, more of like a long-term partner who's, getting equity in your product. You're really looking for kind of that guidance, that network, that mentorship. There's a lot of benefits that come with it. But if you're just trying to get cash to fund your next round of inventory, that might not make the most sense. Merchant cash advance, which is, to be transparent, that's what 8Fig is. And that is a lot more of a like shorter term solution where you kind of just like you're scaling, you just need funds and to keep growing. And it's something that it's usually, between like 6 months, a year and a half. So it's not as a long-term commitment, but it can be great for if you're just at that point of growth and you don't want to give up equity and you just kind of want to be able to move quickly. That's an option. And then there are a few others as well, like business grants are terrific because you don't have to pay any fees on that. But of course, there's not as many of them, and it can also, the process can be a little longer in terms of securing that. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Emma. I'll just add one quick note on cash flow, because that's something that I think Ryan and I kind of struggled with. And it's just like a mental conceptualization of cash flow, because that was a big, I know that was hard.
I'm impressed. I'm listening.
I know. Okay. So here it is. So when it comes to the accounting for e-commerce, because we sell inventory, we actually have to run our business on an accrual accounting basis. That means we're not allowed to say, okay, when I pay for my inventory, that's when I charge it on my books. I can only charge it to the company, my own company, let's say, when I sell that product. So that's an accrual basis. So if I pay $5 for a product, when I sell it, that's when I can say, hey guys, I paid $5 for this product. Okay, that's accrual. Cash flow, though, is completely different. Like, I might only account for it when I sell it, but when I buy it on my supplier, I'm buying a lot of those $5 products, I might pay him $30,000 that month right away. And that's a cash flow basis. So as a business owner, you always have to think of both number systems, accrual and cash flow. And it becomes really hard. So like we had 29% profit margin. On paper, we were profitable, and we still got really tight on the cash flow in a couple of months because, we had big shipments going out. We had 5 containers on the ocean at once. You got to pay for that in cash.
Oh, and that was when shipping was like 20 grand a container too.
It was like the COVID shipping and the logistics and the late fees. And that's where 8Fig really helped us out because of that cash flow crunch. And remember, we were 29% profit margin. Our books were healthy. Our accountant was happy, and we were scared. Okay, so that's just for cash flow. It could be a really tricky thing. Moving back to what we love most, which is, Amazon and launching new products. We want to talk about, what about you guys if you're deciding to launch a new product in Q4, right? So maybe it's on the water now. There's a couple pros, but a couple cons to think about. Emma, just for some housekeeping, are we doing 60 minutes or 90 minutes? I kind of forgot.
60. So
60. Okay. So we'll speed it up a bit. Here we go. So we'll sum it up. We can do a bit of overtime then. Okay. So for the pros, so obviously there's increased sales velocity, a lot of traffic. And like I said, conversion tends to go up because people are buying gifts for like all their relatives and they're just tired of shopping and they'll just buy the first good thing. Right. So conversion tends to go up, especially the last minute customers. They tend to be less price sensitive. Our price, the closer we got to Christmas, used to creep up. Okay. We were ruthless with our price. Honeymoon period. If you launch a new product and your honeymoon period happens to be during Q4, that's a nice thing to have because your honeymoon period is essentially where Amazon is still testing where your listing might convert well. And they'll test you in high organic placements early on. And if that's during a Christmas peak, that's kind of nice. And what's really cool, this is new, it's how ratings are being displayed in the search results, right? It's kind of changing. So it's kind of interesting. If we look here, there's 3 different things of how they're doing it. So in example 1, you can kind of see, this is the traditional one. They show you the star rating, they show you the stars filled out, and it has 9.8 thousand plus reviews, right? So it's nice. On the second one, this is our favorite one. Look at this. It just says 4.6 stars. We don't see how many reviews they have. No idea.
I think this is the favorite one. If you're launching a new product,
that's where you got it. Like you're lucky if your niche is being displayed like that right now. And then the last one is where they kind of they don't show all the stars filled out. They just kind of put the number 4.7. So even if that might be like a 3.5, it may not be as noticeable because you don't see half those stars empty, right? So that might be one, but they do show that this product has 75,000 reviews. So if you're launching a new product and, check your category, check your other competitors. If they have like the second one, that's really nice because now all you have to do is get a couple of reviews and you look on par to that competitor who might have been selling for years with 75,000 reviews. There's no way of telling for the customer. Quick tip. You're launching a new product. It doesn't matter what it is. We always like to have on one image, a little banner. See this red banner we just added here? Right. It's a new release for winter 2024. You put a little banner on it, right? And then people know, hey, they don't have a lot of reviews yet. It's not because it's a crappy product. It's because it's a new release. Okay. So super, super important just to kind of highlight that.
Now, coming to some of the cons, everything isn't roses and I don't know the saying. It's blanking on me right now. It'll come later and I'll remind you of it. Some of the cons of selling in Q4. So as Emma did mention before, we have higher storage fees, higher fees in general. So the storage fees go up at Amazon for standard size products from 87 cents to 240, nearly a tripling in storage fees. We talked about this before about when you should send in your inventory. The next one are your holiday peak fulfillment fees. So across all of the product size tiers, small, large, and oversized, you're going to see a jump anywhere from 30 cents to up to $2.50 just in the fulfillment fee per unit. So be aware of that. Take that into your cash flow considerations. Also, great for customers, kind of not so great for sellers sometimes is this longer return window. Generally, an item that's bought during Q4 or between October 11th and December 25th, according to Amazon, they can be returned all the way until the end of January. So a really large return window there. Kind of sucks because generally if they've had a lot more time to play with the product, it's going to be returned in a used condition and you suddenly get a wave of returns in January. So just take that into consideration too for your January cash flow. The final thing is launching in Q4 can give you a false sense of your product sales velocity. And, if you launch in the middle of November and you're like, oh my God, sales are amazing. This is a hit product. It's like, yeah, is it? Or are you just taking advantage of the increased traffic on Amazon right now? It's great to get these sales, but it can be hard if you have to then turn around and place a reorder based on those numbers. Your baseline is going to be way too high in November compared to what it is going to be the rest of the year in general. So just be aware that you should probably wait to see what your baseline is going to be more in a January, February timeframe and use that as your baseline going forward to place reorders if you can.
Cool. Now, all of this might seem super overwhelming because there's a lot of data. So if we just boil it down to a couple metrics, if we're saying, listen, you're busy, I'm new to Amazon. What should I really track? Just, stick to very basic things. Profitability is number one. That relies on PPC, right? Keeping that in check and making sure you're on top of your inventory. Because like we said, if you're running low on inventory, don't spend money on PPC, right? Increase your price, try to slow down sales. And vice versa. If you have too much inventory, you're going to spend too much money. So for the profitability, tacos, right? Super simple. Pricing, very, very key. As you get closer to Christmas, you might be able to afford higher. Check your competitors. Can you get an upper hand on them? Try to avoid the race to the bottom, right? Just keep your foot on the ground. Or
we suck at idioms today.
We're both sick. Anyway, okay. And organic ranking, right? So you do want to make sure your ad contribution doesn't become 100% PPC, right? You got to keep it organic sales. Amazon PPC is too expensive, especially in Q4. So, focus on organic ranking. Put in budgets for your campaign, the profitable ones, make sure they don't run out. Placements, right? Super important. It is sometimes better, okay? And if this is a takeaway, to spend more money per click on a better placement for PPC, because you will get a much better conversion. Remember, people are tired of shopping. They're sick of it. They just want to get something and add it to the cart and buy it on Christmas. They have too many people to buy for. So pay for that top of search placement, right? Pay $4 or $5 a click. It doesn't matter. If the conversion is high enough and you're profitable, then it makes sense. Inventory, check your competitor inventory levels. So that's a nice little trick we like to do. Try to keep track on them. A couple of ways to do that is just try to add, let's say, like 1,000 of their units to your basket. And then they might say only 850 available. If they have an order limit of like, you can only buy 10 at a time, one way around it is you might check their Canada inventory, because if they're doing remote fulfillment, a lot of sellers forget to set that purchase limit in Canada. So that's what we would like to do, right? So a little hack, go to their Canadian listing, see if you can add 1,000 units to your basket. Don't check out and remove it from your basket also, okay? But this way you can kind of see how much inventory they have left. And check, shipping times on your listing, right? And the capacity limit. Keep an eye on it. Obviously, that's a challenge for all sellers.
Yeah, this is new for this Q4. Last year, it was restock limits, if you remember, and IPI scores dictating a lot of your inventory storage. This year, it's capacity limit. Maybe let us know in the comments in the chat, like, are you having troubles with capacity limit? I think for most of our clients, we're seeing it. People are generally fine for capacity limits right now. We'd like to know if it's the same for you.
One hack or way around it is using AWD, right? So Amazon's warehouse distribution. So AWD doesn't count towards your capacity limit, but it's already within the Amazon ecosystem. So it's kind of cool because it's already at Amazon. Their fees don't have a high Q4 storage surcharge. So you can just throw it in at AWD. And then from there, they will upstream it to FBA essentially, or you can actually manually do it as well. All righty. So let me see. Let's keep going. We have a little bonus content. Surprise. We're not going to go through all of this, but what we are going to do is we're going to share how we use ChatGPT, right? So the super hot off the press. I mean, AI, everyone loves talking about it. We actually wanted to share like a real use case on how do we actually implement some of the stuff that we spoke about in this webinar while using AI just to be more efficient, right? And to lead to growth in sales, essentially. So a couple things that we use ChatGPT for, obviously the product descriptions and the bullet points, right? So when we're saying you got to Christmasify them, add new words that you found, keywords, we'll just throw in our old listing to ChatGPT, copy paste. Then we'll throw in the keywords that we want to include and say, can you implement these keywords based on their search volume and that priority into our listing? We'll use, so we have the pro version, which is ChatGPT 4.0. 3.5 is still free, which is amazing. It can do everything except for this photorealistic because that's a plugin. We'll actually ask it, hey, we need to generate some images for our listing. It'll create the prompt and we'll use that prompt on Midjourney to create some images for us. We'll use it to come up with ad copy. So for the holiday promotions,
that's what I use it the most for.
Yeah, so we'll throw in we'll tell it the Amazon guidelines. So just copy paste it. We tell them the guidelines and say, listen, we need to run. I'm not feeling creative today. Give me 10 ads that you can run for this product for Christmas, and it'll spit out 10 suggestions. You can say, hey, cool, give me 10 more, but make them funny. Give me 10 more, but make it more emotional. Stuff like that. So you can really chat back and forth, and you have this on-hand amazing assistant. Then we'll use it to translate those, right? We'll say, listen, we also sell in Mexico. I need it in Spanish, and we're selling in Canada. So we need it in French. Can you run some of those promotions in those languages? It'll translate it to us almost instantly, and it's perfect. Customer service. So this is one of our favorite things. So if sales pick up, So do questions from customers. So does your returns and all that stuff. Reviews that you might want to comment on, or seller feedback, sorry, that you might want to respond to. So what we'll do is, this is a little pro tip. We create a standalone chat for every one of our products where we copy paste the listing, put it in. We tell ChatGPT a little bit about the product, say this, hey, this is the product that we're selling on Amazon. And as questions come in, it'll start reading it has your listing. It knows it. It's within one chat. So it'll answer the question for the customer for you. And then we just copy paste that and send it to the customer. So we can get a VA to do it, someone whose English isn't good. We can define the tone of that email. We can say, hey, make it a friendly tone. If you have a really funny brand, you can say, make it humorous. We want a lot of jokes in there, make it sarcastic. And it's a really fun way to do it. So those are some of the 5 main things that we do it. And, one example that we actually did is we're going to share with you our chat that we did. I literally went on Amazon. I said, I don't want to, what do you call it? I don't want to set this up. I'm going to take the first product that's on my listing, suggested to me. And this was it. So I'm like, okay, cool. Can I turn this into a gift for the holidays? So it was a gaming keyboard by this brand, Dacoity. So if you guys are watching and this is your brand, cool. So they had this gaming keyboard, LED backlit. I'm like, okay, cool. First, I know it's not really a Christmas gift, but let me do some keyword research. I just want to see. So I started looking at, Helium 10 and looking for some keywords. And I saw that the peak monthly search volume actually goes up. Look at that, 75,000 gifts for gamers men, teen boys, men, adults, boys. Christmas gifts for gamers actually only had 2,500 monthly search volume, right? During Christmas, this is what Ryan and I learned, is that the search volume, let's say Christmas gifts for mom, may not be as high as gifts for mom. Because everyone searching in Q4 already has in their mind, or almost everyone, it is a Christmas gift. So they're not specifying Christmas. If it's Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, we notice that people want a specific, I'm looking for Valentine's Day gifts for mom or Mother's Day gifts for mom, right? And they'll type that in. So that search volume tends to be bigger than the generic gifts for mom. Okay.
So and gifts seems to be the word here. If you can fit gifts into your bullet points, or if you want to try to get it in your title, if you think you really need to target some of these keywords, gifts is the word to try to fit in.
Yeah, definitely. And what's really cool is look at the baseline of these keywords. They're almost non-existent throughout the year. And then what we do is also to get an idea of Q4 sales and trends and how big do we think it's going to be. We like to use these kind of charts, right? So we go to Helium 10, we look at the search term gifts for gamers, we go to all time and try to see how big does it get. And what's interesting is here, you can see the COVID peak, right? So you can see that 21 and 22, massive inflation, right? But if you still draw a line from 20 to 23, that's essentially your real trend line, with 21 and 22 being outliers. So we do see a general trend upwards for gifts for gamers men, right? So this is one where we're going to, say, okay, we're going to try to have this intact. And I'm going to expect this to go up to maybe 30,000 search volume for this Q4. So they all follow a very similar trend. COVID peak, obviously they're inflated, but other than that, they're still increasing. So I get excited. This is a Christmas gifts for gamers. So you can see throughout the year, I think that little bit of search volume, like 200-300, is probably sellers doing research for different gifts they could sell probably for Christmas. So what we did is we take that search volume, that little list, and we literally put it into ChatGPT. And what you guys can do is scan this now. And what you're going to see is actually us interacting with ChatGPT. And then you can actually just copy our prompts, right? ChatGPT isn't always perfect. And you can even see the prompts we use on Midjourney to generate images. At the bottom of the chat with AI, you're going to see the images that we created. Now, just to keep the chat short enough for the webinar and stuff, we essentially wanted to just take the first rendition from that image. But normally there would be alterations. We would say, listen, this is way too busy. Just give me the background. I'm going to Photoshop my product into it. And then a lot of our Amazon listings now actually use artificial backgrounds, and we just Photoshop really quickly our product on top of it. So super, super fun stuff. We absolutely love AI. So scan this, check out our chat, and then you'll be able to see how we use AI for our Amazon business.
And with that, I think we're on our last slide. So.
And that was exactly 60 minutes with like a 30-second intro. So we were on time.
Too shabby.
Cool. Back to me. Hello, I'm still here.
Hello, Katie.
Thank you guys. That was awesome. So as everyone can see, the QR codes are up there on the screen. So go ahead and scan now. This is a good time for Q&A. So if you have questions, please submit them. I see 2 in here, but if you have questions you want to ask, please submit them now.
Yeah, maybe I'll just, sorry to interrupt. I'll just mention that something we decided to do just specifically for the viewers of this webinar is to offer 50% off our regular coaching call rates. And we're only making 5 of these available. So you can get to our booking page by scanning this QR code and book anytime that's available from now until the end of October. And we'd love to coach you if you have especially questions about selling during Q4 and any of the topics that we hit on today. Please reach out to us. We love coaching and helping people as much as possible.
That's amazing. Definitely scan that. It looks like only 5 are available. So if you're still on, definitely scan it. Ryan and David are the best. So
thanks, Katie.
Cool. Let's dive into our first question. So the first one is for Emma, actually, and it asks, how long is the approval process for 8Fig? If I applied now, would I receive funding in time to support me throughout Q4, or is it a little too late?
Okay. We're in the same room, so we just have to yeah, so now would actually not be too late. So we usually see times of like within a week is when we're able to kind of get your application, work with you on, you know, making sure it's what you want, and then getting the approvals through. It can be faster, but I would say like, you know, a week is probably the regular amount of time, and then we can schedule the funding moments like as early as need be. So now would actually not be too late. So get in there, 8fig.co.
Thanks, Emma. So our next question is for Ryan and David, and it says, you mentioned stocking out in the holiday season. Would you suggest doubling the amount of inventory you typically send to get through at least January, or is that risky? What are some smart tips regarding my inventory?
Cool. We love inventory. So if you go to our website, you can actually see we have a Excel spreadsheets that we have and sell, and one of them is called Stock Flow. It's essentially what we built for ours to just, you know, track our inventory and our sales peaks and see how much do we have to send in. We do have a free demo of it, so might as well just try it out. And one thing we like to do there is to say, okay, if we have historical data from selling last Q4, then we can say, okay, we're expecting this Q4 if all of the parameters stay the same, or more or less. So by parameters, I mean competition. So there's no guy that came in and sold half your sales throughout the year. Your overall ranking, your overall review, if it's still viewed as a good product. So if things are stable in your niche, then you can assume that your sales might be from last Q4, a market increase of, let's say, the 10%. Right? So you can just do a quick Google trend check as well as what are the sales normally doing now. If we're heading into a recession and sales are down, it might be smaller than last year, but right now it's looking like it's going to be a 10% year over year growth anyway. So if your parameters are stable and you were selling last year, you can say, look, I'm going to send in about 10% more than what I sent in last year just to make sure. And then just take a look at how many units did you sell from November 1st till, let's say, January 30th. Right. And then send in those. And
I'll also align it with, you know, your own strategy too. Maybe last year you were selling on Amazon, but you weren't really pushing PPC because you were short on stock. So try to remember what your situation was last year and be like, no, look, this year I'm really going to be pushing PPC. I have a couple of golden campaigns. So I need to account for that and send in a bit more inventory. And if you don't have any sales data of your own, you can always go look at your competitors. And this is something we talk about in the spreadsheet that Dave mentioned, the stock flow is, if you haven't sold before, go look at your competitor sales data, get a feeling for how much their sales increase, and you can use that as a rough calculation for what your own sales are going to do this year, and send it in based on that.
Just really quickly, it's important to know you don't want to match their numbers. You want to match their growth. So if they normally sell 10 units a day, and during Christmas, they're selling like 100 a day, that's a 10x. So if you come in and you sell 5 units a day, you can expect also a 10x and do 50 a day. Okay, and then just map it out. One last thing to mention as well, what Ryan said, which is really good. If last year, let's say you're selling in Q4 and your sales were good, but your profit margin wasn't as good as you wanted it to be, then maybe don't send in more, send in less and run more organically. So maybe you're running way too many ads last year and your ad contribution was way too high. Then what's the point of selling more units and making less money? Focus on profit, send in less units, but raise the price. Reduce the ads, put budgets in, stuff like that. So focus on profit.
And it's never like we say get things in by mid-November, but if around the end of November you still notice like, oh my God, my sales are going up more than I expected, I'm gonna run out of stock. You can still send in units, end of November, beginning of December. It's just cutting it close. So you probably wouldn't want to send in too many, but you can still top up a little bit and give yourself a few extra sales there.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Okay, so we have one more question and then we'll wrap it up here. So the last question is, can you give an example of a good deal to run this upcoming Prime Day and Black Friday, Cyber Monday before the holidays?
Right.
Yeah.
So these Prime deal days are coming up in October, I believe October 10th and 11th. It's kind of similar to a Prime Day, right? If you're a Prime customer on Amazon, you have access to these Prime exclusive discounts. I think we're a fan of running these Prime exclusive discounts, again, just because for the fact that your competitors are likely going to be running these as well. And you kind of just need to keep pace with them in order to maintain, your same relative BSR. The good thing is Black Friday is not until November 24th this year. So you're outside of that 30-day past lookup window. So whatever your sales or your prices on these Prime days in October, you're not going to have to suddenly beat that price by 15% come Black Friday. You can raise your price after the Prime Day deals and again up to your normal level and then reduce it again for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And on those days, also Prime exclusive discounts are great. Coupons also perform well. We like to look at your search results page and see what are your competitors doing, and then what can you then do to stand out. If none of your competitors are running a coupon, run a coupon. It's this great little green badge that appears.
And if they're all running a coupon, don't run a coupon.
Or run just simply lower your price to the lowest it's been in 30 days and get that red badge. Instead, red can draw the eye over the sea of green, So a few things that you can do. Cyber Monday and Black Friday are also fun days. And that's kind of when the Q4 excitement and rush really starts to pick up.
And for like the number of, what percentage should I give off? I think it's super important to always make it based on your data, on your product. So a quick thing is your break-even discount price is essentially your profit margin. So if you have a product profit margin of 25%, then you can run a discount of 25%, and essentially it's like a giveaway. So it's free. Keep in mind, some of those might be returned and there's fees associated with that. So maybe leave a little bit of margin, right? But you can go down to that price. And what we would like to do is say, you know what, if we have enough inventory tied into inventory, why don't we try to maximize our unit sales now for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, get people excited about our product. So we're literally going to give them away at cost. They're break even for us. All those sales don't add profit. They're break even. We're not losing money. What we're doing is we're gaining sales velocity, which will help ranking. Plus, it's like marketing. We're giving away our product. So now come Christmas time, hopefully they're so impressed with the product that they got on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that they might now buy it again for their loved ones or for their friends, or recommend it, or post on social media about it. Depends on also if you have company inserts. So we would always have inserts and try to get people to interact with us and stuff like that. So different strategies, but keep in mind you have to know for each one of your products, what is your break-even point? That's super important.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you guys. Like seriously, such great insights into Q4. Hopefully everyone listening has an amazing Q4 selling season. We're all rooting for you. Ryan, David, Emma, thank you so much for being on the webinar today. We really appreciate it. We will send out the recording within 48 hours. So, if you just want to refresh on some of this, we'll have it out to you soon. And thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, I got to give a call out to Nick, my buddy down in Denver.
Yeah, so we met Nick at different Amazon, conferences. We met up with him in Vegas at, I need to shout out. So everyone, guys, it's Ryan's birthday tomorrow, actually. So big happy birthday to Ryan.
Oh, geez.
Happy early birthday.
And Oktoberfest is happening right now in Munich. So the two might align.
That's why we did the webinar today. If it would have been tomorrow, he wouldn't have been able to speak.
Legit, I think Katie was like, is the 21st good for you? I was like, can we do it a day before?
Well, have a really good time at Oktoberfest.
Cool. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. See ya, everybody.
Bye, everybody.